Governor Walker joins us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Greta. Good to be with you.
Nice to have you. So it looks like you have another round. What are you going to do? The trial court judge tossed out your signature law.
Well, we feel confident that just as this happened last year, a Dane County Circuit Court judge took action that tried to take out part of the law. Ultimately, the state Supreme again in this case as well, and I think J.B. Van Hollen, our distinguished Attorney General, is going to go ahead and move forward tomorrow already to try and get a stay so that in the meantime, until the Supreme Court can actually ultimately hear this decision and make a decision, I should say, that this doesn't screw up things for the local governments, the school districts, the towns, the counties, and others who would be devastated if this law were to not be in effect.
Well, I don't mean to be disrespectful to your Supreme Court, sir, but you probably had the most dysfunctional Supreme Court in the entire state, with one trying to choke another, two sending out notes to the press to snitch on the others, and fighting going back and forth. And I'm curious, no matter what happens, whether you win or lose in the Supreme Court, what kind of, I can't imagine that the people of the state of Wisconsin aren't going to have some sort of thought that's going to be that it's a pretty weird situation.
Well, it is. I mean, a day after all was great in the world, after the Packers beat the Bears, the next day we had this decision. I think for people, no matter what their politics in Wisconsin, it was very... We had this recall election, as you mentioned. We got a bigger margin before, more people voted than before, and I think most people were just happy to move on. Couples past this, most people, things had quieted down, people were ready to move on, and then you've got this again in the courts. Our hope is that a stay will be granted because, again, if you're a school district, if you're a county government, if you're a local municipal government, this would be devastating. This would cause potentially significant layoffs, and that's not what people want out there. They are ready to move on and to see that our reforms worked, not only balancing the budget, but saving taxpayers money, lowering property taxes, and turning a budget deficit into a surplus.
All right, well, it's not always easy to get a stay, because what a stay oftentimes says is you get a stay because the judge believes that he or she is going to get reversed on the Court of Appeals. So you've got to convince a judge that he's probably not right when he's just decided against you. I know that you're seeking a stay, but in the event you don't get a stay, can you unravel? I mean, are you going to be forced to unravel contracts, or what are you going to do?
Well, in the case of this decision, again, I'm not a lawyer, but from what our Attorney General and the Department of Justice have pointed out to us, is it does not affect the state employees. So state government's fine. The people who are unfortunately going to be hurt under this would be local school districts, municipalities, and counties. They're the ones that already have levies in place, so the only chance for them, if they had to alter their budget, would ultimately be staff changes, which would be, I think, ultimately bad for kids in the schools. It would be bad for the taxpayers who need services. And, it's be careful what you ask for, you might get it, and that's what ultimately might happen in this case. I'm confident, though, even the attorney for the unions has said in the last day or so some pretty reasonable statements about understanding that there would indeed be an appeal process, wanting to give people time to work that out. So I think in the end it's reasonable. I would hope that they give this a chance to go forward, because otherwise there's going to be an awful lot of local officials trying to figure out exactly what to do next, and that's not good for anybody.
We have 30 seconds left. How is the race in Wisconsin? President Obama or Governor Romney? I know you're a friend of Congressman Paul Ryan, but I'm curious what it looks like. Big friend
Paul Ryan. Mitt Romney's got to make the case that the R next to his name doesn't just stand for Republican, it stands for reformer. If he can do that, it's neck and neck. It's a dead even tie right now, and he could ultimately win, but a lot can happen between now and Election Day.
All right, one other one. Tommy Thompson, former HHS, former governor of the state of Wisconsin. Is he going to win his Senate race or not?
I think he will. He's well-known, well-liked, has a tremendous record of reform, and if people understand that it's the difference between an extreme liberal from Madison or a proven reformer who can put people back to work, Tommy Thompson wins, but he's under tremendous attacks from outside money. If he can level the playing field out, he'll win.
Governor, as always, thank you, sir. Good luck with that Supreme Court. It's pretty wild out there.
Thank you, Greta. Thank you.